Hello and welcome back to The Hook. Now we're going to have our guest come in for today. He is the lead football writer for the Daily Texan. We have Peter Sblendorio. Peter, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, now we're going to talk about one of the least topics in the NFL, but to me and maybe Josh is one of the most intriguing ones, the NFC East. All right, Peter, how do you feel about the NFC East right now, and what is your outcome of one of the teams that you're looking forward to in this division?
Well, my opinion of the team right now, or the league right now, is that it is the NFC least, as I've said a couple of times on this network, as well as KVRX. It's just been bad across the board. The best team is 2-2. There's only 2 wins outside of the division between all 4 of the teams. The Giants are 0-4. The Redskins and Eagles are both 1-3. It is by far the worst division so far, and it's really surprising to me because I thought coming into this year, this is a division that had a chance to be really tight, and a lot of teams, all 4 teams had a chance to win the division and maybe even have a wild card team come out of it. I don't think that's the case anymore. I do expect these teams to start playing better. When you look at these teams, they're all underperforming because there's talent here. RG3 is a number 2 pick in the NFL draft. Eli Manning and Michael Vick are both first round picks, and Tony Romo is a $100 million quarterback. These teams should not be underperforming the way they are. They've looked overmatched a lot. There's just been inconsistency across the board. Nobody's really been that impressive on defense. The Cowboys have been the best team so far, and they're still 500. I'm thinking 8-8 might win this division right now. Now, the Giants have a good chance this week to get their first win at home against the Eagles. The Eagles have lost 3 in a row. I actually think the Giants will win this game because the Eagles' defense, especially their secondary, has been so bad. Victor Cruz has been the lone bright spot for this Giants team. I think he has a big game. I think Hakeem Nicks and Ruben Randle both perform well. And I think this is a game the Giants are able to win 28-21. And I think that that's going to move the Giants within 1 game of the division lead because I think the Cowboys lose to the Broncos. Denver is 4-0. They've looked too good this year. The Cowboys, even though they're 2-0 at home right now, historically have not been great at Cowboys Stadium. Peyton Manning is having the best start to his great career. I think the Broncos take that one 35-21.
So, Peter, you mentioned all this supposedly elite quarterbacks in the NFC East. Do you see any of these teams turning it around and maybe winning the division and maybe going on to make some noise in the playoffs?
As of right now, I find it hard to believe that any of these teams really could make too much noise in the playoffs. But I do think that there is the possibility of it just because of how good the quarterbacks are. We've seen Eli Manning do it twice. Win 4 games both times, win a lot of road games in the playoffs, and get there. And let's keep in mind, if things go the way I predicted, the Giants are only going to be 1 game out with 11 games to play. This division is far from decided. Anybody could still win it. It's just going to take somebody to get hot. Right now, I think the Cowboys are the favorite just because their defense has been the least of all the evils. They've performed well at times. They looked pretty good against the Rams in Week 3. They kept the Giants off balance in the first half of Week 1. Last week's performance in the second half against the Chargers was pretty underwhelming. But I think that Des Bryant on offense can help pick up some of that slack. And I think that if the defense can play a little bit more like they're capable, Tony Romo and Des Bryant, along with Jason Witten, form the best receiving core in this division.
Okay, Peter, you also said about, the quarterbacks and basically how the elite quarterbacks are in the NFC East. All right, now let's look at the teams. You have Dallas, who is basically a conservative offense, but with a balanced defense. You have New York, who has a great wide receiver core, but they're messing with the turnovers. You have Chip Kelly's new offense that they give out for the Philadelphia Eagles, and you have RG3 out there in the offense. Which one of these offenses do you think is going to be that's going to be very key when it comes to the playoffs later on in the season, if one of these teams grab it?
If I had to pick one just on paper, I think I like the Redskins the best, just because their offensive line is more solid than that of the Cowboys or the Giants. They have a decent receiving core with Pierre Garçon and Leonard Hankerson, and we saw how good RG3 can be when he's healthy, not to mention Alfred Morris, who had 1,500 rushing yards last year. They should have all the pieces on offense. They just haven't been able to put it together. They got their first win of the year last week against the Raiders. I don't really think that's a huge win. It's important for them to get a win, but they should be favored against the Raiders. But I look at these other teams, I just see too many flaws. The Cowboys are they're just injury ravaged across their offensive line. The Giants have not been able to run the ball, and they've had some trouble with the line as well. The Eagles have 2 of their top 4 wide receivers injured. Michael Vick is always an injury concern. I think the Redskins have the best offense on paper, but they might have the worst defense as well. So it's just hard for me to pick them.
All right. Quick switch up real fast, Peter, before you leave. Texas OU, can we get a prediction from you?
I think it's going to be tough for Texas to win if David Ash can't play, so I think we're going to see another Oklahoma win if David Ash is inactive.
All right, then. Thank you so much, Peter, for coming in today. I hope you have a great weekend. Now, coming up, we'll have one of my favorite subjects, the fastest 5 minutes in sports. Stay tuned. This is The Hook.